Here we go. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our special Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting for today. So we can go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's a really short agenda, but just to approve the agenda.
I think we lost, sorry, Nicole, to interrupt. I think we just lost Sandy.
Oh, okay.
I'll let her back in when she appears again.
Okay. Do you want me to wait a few minutes or carry on?
I think you're probably fine to carry on.
Okay. So yes, first on our agenda is just approving the agenda for today. There's just one thing on there. Does anyone have anything to add or change on the agenda for today? Okay. Would anyone like to put a motion forward to approve the agenda for today then?
I can.
Okay, Colleen. And a seconder for that? Linda? All right. And all in favor for that? All right.
Nicole, I kind of do have something to add. I was talking to Gord Fletcher about the walkway between the bank and the post office, and it's not CIBC that owns that property.
Okay.
I'm waiting for him to get back to me.
Okay. I think Jessica's going to make a comment.
Yeah, so because that's okay, because this is a special meeting, we can only really discuss the topic for the reason that the meeting was called.
Okay.
But we can absolutely put that on the agenda in the new year once we get rolling again. There's Sandy again, just one moment.
Okay. We'll let Sandy get back in there.
She seems to be all. Sandy, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect.
Welcome back. Okay,
Keep my fingers on my lap.
We will go into the our just one thing on the agenda then, which is discussion of line items for the 2023 municipal budget. So Jessica and I actually had chatted about this a little while ago, that she had a really great idea that it's something that we hadn't done budget-wise within the municipality, because often when either a project idea comes up or if something to repair comes up, there's often a need to then find money to actually go towards that project. Whereas if we actually had a budget line for the whole municipality towards an accessibility project, it might actually help the timeline of getting projects done instead of being a manager then having to add a project to next year's budget to then get approved for next year and to carry on from there. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Jessica?
Yeah, so the other benefit that I thought would be nice, and this isn't necessarily something that all municipalities are doing, but I would like for us to kind of lead this and maybe the rest of the municipalities will follow, is I think, you know, the budget process is a public process, and it's just nice that it shows, you know, if a maintenance thing is done, it just falls under maintenance and nobody knows, you know, that was necessarily a maintenance upgrade that benefited the accessibility of the municipality. Where if we just have some, and I'm going to kind of leave this to council to hash out how they want to do this with the director of finance, but some sort of accessibility line, whether it be one under each department or one as a whole, or however they want to do it, something that just shows where that we're spending money on becoming accessible and being accessible and, you know, training our staff in accessibility and completing projects that help with accessibility, etc. You know, it just shows our community that we're doing this and we're doing everything we can. And this is the money we're spending to get there. In addition to, you'll see in the motion that I propose, it also just helps with reporting at the end of the year, you know, that we've spent this money towards becoming an accessible community for our residents.
Are there any questions or comments about that from anyone online, the meeting today? Brian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just I think it's a brilliant idea. It's a great way of being accountable to the people. And the number of times I've seen on social media saying things like, well, we're so far behind and we're not nearly accessible enough. And those comments may be very true from that person's perspective, but we've come a long way, and we certainly do endeavor to invest in accessibility items in our community, and we're certainly aware of the deficit, and we know we need to catch up. So I think this is a good idea. It keeps us accountable as a municipality, but it also lets the citizens know we are trying. So I think that's good. I like it.
Great. Any other questions for me from anybody?
Pretty clear.
Pretty clear. I appreciate that. I tried to be as clear as possible. Yeah, so now that I'm kind of in this seat that's supposed to be the accessibility coordinator, I am myself learning a lot. Have learned a lot since I started here in the first place. Coming from the private sector to the public sector, there's no such thing as accessibility really in the private sector. It's not a discussion over there. So I myself in the last year and a half have learned a ton, and still feel that I have a ton to learn. I agree with Mr. Mayor there that we are behind, and unfortunately with some changeover in my position, staffing wise, projects get started and unfortunately don't necessarily go the full distance. And my goal now that the election's over and I can kind of focus on this a little bit more, is to push this as far as I can while I'm physically in this position. I have some other plans, but I will bring those to the committee in the new year to let you guys know what I'm doing so that we can focus on this for now. But yeah, if we can get this going, then I can bring it to council. December 19th is their next council meeting as a recommendation from the committee so that they can then consider this during their budget deliberations as something new to add to their budgets.
Jessica, do you think we need to put an actual amount in for the motion, or do you think we can leave it open-ended and we'll leave it to council or managers for how much to put in?
Mr. Mayor, can I get your thoughts on that? I've never done this, adding a line
I
item.
did a Google search just to see if it was something on other budgets that I could find, but I couldn't find anything on other small municipality budgets towards something like this, so I wasn't sure.
So I do have Coburg's budget. I had Coburg send me they have an accessibility coordinator, like somebody physically, that's all they do is accessibility, inclusion, and diversity. Mm-hmm. They have a budget, but it's very much focused on training, and a little less on, I kind of want it to be a full scope. Like I want something for training specifically for accessibility, not just a training line. And any accessible training falls under training and nobody knows what the training was. I want it to be more specific, as well as, like the little projects that come up. Like when in the summer, you guys had mentioned a cutout because of music in the park from the CIBC parking lot to the park. Little projects like that where we could go, okay, but we have these funds and we can use these funds because it's an accessible feature. Mm-hmm. Sorry,
if I may, given that the motion, we don't have a motion on the floor yet, right?
No.
So the proposed motion reads that the 2023 annual departmental budgets identify, expend, et cetera. I would suggest that by passing this motion, we would simply be recommending that council direct staff to put into their each departmental budget notes about accessibility and costings for accessibility items, so that we would have not just one accessibility budget line item, but many throughout the municipality that each department would likely have, and maybe a department would have many as well. Like you may have accessibility training in Parks and Rec, and you may have accessibility projects in Parks and Rec, et cetera, as we go through the various departments in the community. So I think it's just a way of trying to pull, maybe not adding something to the budget, but pulling numbers out of various projects to say, hey, this is in fact an accessibility issue that we're dealing with. It's not just, redoing a sidewalk as a public works project. That's an accessibility function in the community. So we're gonna include those dollars that would normally be put toward this sidewalk repair in our accessibility projects budget for public works. That's
Okay.
how I read. That's how I read the motion anyway,
Yeah.
or the proposed motion. Pardon me.
And yeah, I wasn't sure if it was better to do it that way or do it a way in it's a general fund. So as a project comes up, instead of the manager then going through their budgets to think, okay, how can I afford this sidewalk cutout? Then there is this general accessibility fund they could go to and right away get it done. But again, I don't know what's easiest within the municipality.
If we had an accessibility coordinator in the community in the municipal staffing chart, then I would suggest that would probably be where it belongs, Madam Chair. But given that we don't, and I think we're probably unlikely to have one in the coming year or more, it's probably best that it does report through the various departments, because then there's accountability from a management point of view, as well as from the committee's perspective. If we had an accessibility coordinator, then the accountability would be through that staffing person, but we don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, the accessibility coordinator is me, but it falls under my umbrella with, all the many other things that I have. So I'm kind of with the mayor on this, that I don't want to handle a budget for accessibility right now. But I would love to push this through and eventually, when we do get an accessibility coordinator, because I do think it's something that we will eventually need and should have, somebody who is focusing on these issues and can give it their full attention, because unfortunately I just can't. Then eventually we would move that into, maybe we put all of accessibility related budgeting under their umbrella.
Linda, go ahead. Oh, I think you're on mute still.
Okay, now I
There we
can
go.
talk. One question, if we did have a accessibility coordinator, would they be part of our team as accessibility for advisory committee for Brighton?
I think
Yeah.
absolutely they would.
Yeah. So again, right now, the accessibility coordinator role falls under my role as,
Okay.
as deputy clerk, because we don't have the staffing. It's also just not on our organizational chart right now. And usually, I think we have a little bit more growing to do before that position becomes a position.
But you can't be part of our group. You're just advising our group. Is that how it goes?
No, I come to these committee meetings and clerk these committee meetings because I'm the accessibility coordinator.
Okay.
It's just not my focus, right? It's not my only job description.
I think it's good that you come then, because then you can see what we're talking about.
Yep.
And what our thoughts on projects are.
Yeah, so same as you used to have Tom Street. Tom Street was the deputy clerk and accessibility coordinator, and then it was Marina, and now it's me.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's why I'm here.
Okay, I wasn't sure of that positioning or whatever you call it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other comments or questions about our proposed motion?
Not at all. I think it's great.
Andy.
It's nice that you can't see me.
That's okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I think I see
Go ahead.
Heather's hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say I'm not a voting member of this committee, but I fully support it. And I just wanted to say I really like the point you made about being a leader in this. Let's lead other communities, because I think this is a great idea and it's definitely necessary.
Thank you.
Okay. I think everyone has a copy of the motion in the agenda, but I will read it out loud. The motion is that the Accessibility Advisory Committee recommends the inclusion of a line item within the 2023 annual departmental budgets to identify expenditures on services, projects, training allocated and spent on accessibility within the municipality, as this inclusion would benefit immediate and future services, project and training requirements, as well as assist in completing the reporting requirement to the provincial government as the municipality's accessibility plan for the current year and future allocation requirements.
Kind of a mouthful. I apologize.
What's that? Sorry.
It's kind of a mouthful. I apologize, but I wanted everything included.
Ryan?
I think just for clarity, we should have the motion read line items within the 2023 annual departmental budgets. Right now, it's sort of an either or, a line item or line items. And I think it just, we need to be clear that our anticipation is that each department will have maybe a couple of line items for accessibility purposes. And I'm supportive of that, but I don't think I should make the motion, frankly.
I'll make the motion. If I don't have to repeat it word by word.
No, you do not.
Okay, good.
So we have Sandy to put forward the motion, and I see Linda's hand as a seconder. And all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All right. So that is passed.
Excellent. Thank you so much, guys.
Right. Yeah, I keep looking at the clock for you, Jessica. So our next meeting date will be determined once there is appointment of the committee for the new term coming up. So yeah, I guess then we can go ahead and adjourn.
Perfect.
Merry
Thank you for
Christmas,
coming.
everybody.
Yes. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Stay
Have
healthy.
yes, stay healthy. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Linda.
Thanks for coming out, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jessica.
Thank you for having the meeting. Thank you.